We crush about 20,000 tonnes of fruit a year, and that produces about 15 million litres. We export about 70% of the production, and about half that is to China.
David Harris has been selling wine to Chinese customers for almost 20 years. Back then, he saw huge growth potential in his key export market.
Australia's been by far the most successful country in establishing a wine business into China.
But now his business is accused of flooding the Chinese market with cheap wine.
I was driving up to the winery and someone rang me and said, "Have you heard you've been accused of dumping wine?" So I was a bit shocked. I mean, we're just simply not in the business of making wine, putting it in a bottle and selling it below the cost.
9 other companies are named in the trade dispute, including Treasury Wine Estates, the maker of Penfolds. If Chinese authorities find Australia is selling wine below cost, the industry could face tariffs of up to 200%.
I think it would probably shut that market down overnight, and that would be a sort of catastrophe right down through to the individual grower.
In a broader investigation, China argues some government grants to the industry amount to a subsidy, giving Australian wine an unfair market advantage. But the industry points out it receives no direct subsidies.
We're not in a trade war, but we certainly see difficulties in the relationship that are making life harder for a number of different export industries.
Planted 1,500 hectares, so 100% barley, which in hindsight probably wasn't the smartest move.
This season, Gary Miller was banking on bumper prices. Then China slapped the barley industry with an 80% tariff.
The barley prices dropped $50 a tonne and heading south by the day at the moment. And in our business, it's dropped $250,000.
China imposed the tariff after its own investigation found Australia was selling grain below cost.
We reject those assertions, but we have also reserved all rights to be ready to launch a World Trade Organisation appeal.
Now the industry has been dealt a further blow, with China accusing a major Australian exporter of shipping barley contaminated with weeds.
Chinese maltsters and brewers have said that they enjoy working with our barley, so you just wonder what the Chinese government is doing to do this to the Australian barley growers. It appears to be politically motivated.
I think there's so much happening on both sides. It's very hard for any of us in the Australian public to figure out just who is doing what kind of tit for tat here.
China watcher Jane Golly says there are many reasons why Australia's relationship with China has soured.
If you're reading the news daily, I think you'd be led to believe that the COVID inquiry that Australia pushed for is the sole cause of all of the problems that we're having with China at the moment. But there's a much longer history to that. In 2018, we saw the introduction of the foreign interference laws. It was then, of course, that we also blocked Huawei's participation in the 5G network. And the bottom line is that increasingly we don't trust them.
We have a more assertive China that has escalated tensions in a range of different ways with different countries around the world.
Yeah, look, I'm comfortable that our corrective actions and our investigation is going to answer the appropriate questions for the authorities in China.
Simon Stahl's abattoir is one of 5 temporarily banned from sending beef to China over apparent labelling errors. He believes the trade dispute is overstated.
I'm not going to tell Canberra how to run their business or what they've got to do. I mean, I think the media is playing a huge part in terms of blowing it up on the front page every day and asking for comment about how this affects the relationship and do you think this, that or the other. I think really I'd like to see everyone just take a breath.
We don't believe that the suspension of their licences to import produce into China was warranted or proportionate to the failings that may have occurred.
And months after asking, the Trade Minister's still waiting to have a conversation with his Chinese counterpart.
I think that is disappointing because the best way to work through points of difference is for people to sit down in a mature way, openly address those issues.
Wine producer David Harris hopes the lines of communication will improve and Australian wine exports stay tariff-free.
It's like a bit of a family tiff. These things are serious, but blood's thicker than water and we always come back together. And so we need just cool heads, settle down, work through it. If there's a few issues they're worried about, well, let's deal with it.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.